I was just going to say for the listeners that Lewis has a killer whale T-shirt, which I thought was a nice little subtle hint to the name of our podcast.
Yeah, you like that?
Not that we're called
Yeah,
Killer
I
Whale.
appreciate that.
I did notice, but I didn't pick up on it. I noticed it was a killer whale. I forgot about what our podcast was called.
Subtle.
I was like, yeah, I appreciate
Is that
that.
I'm
deliberate?
glad you noticed. Yeah, of course it was.
Was it?
It's like an Easter egg, isn't it?
I like it. The thing that's heartbreaking is that Elliot made zero effort. Look at him.
But I'm full of rage.
He is full of...
Yes.
Yes.
So if you couple us together, then it works, doesn't it? Anyway, let me try and blow your mind with the fact that surprised me most from the movies that we've done based on a true story.
Oh,
Because
that
I was
question
thinking
from
about
40 minutes ago. Yeah, go for it.
Rage Whale. Special guest episode. Today's special guest is a duo, an award-winning duo from their podcast, That's Not How It Went Down. We have Elliot and Lewis come to talk to us about their podcast, the movies they enjoy, and the premise behind looking into true stories and finding out how true they really are. You might actually learn something in today's episode. We talk about quite a few different types of films and have a laugh along the way. We hope you enjoy.
Rather than a proper intro, I think we should start with Lewis giving us some Alan Partridge quotes. What's your favourite Alan Partridge quote, Lewis, before we even introduce who you are?
Favourite Alan Partridge quote? I mean, I've been watching some of his newer material recently. God, you've really put me on the spot here. I haven't listened to his audiobook. Oh, okay, no. I've been listening to his podcast, actually, and there's a bit where he's locked in the porch of Lynn's house. And he's like, I feel like one of those action figures. Action Alan. Stretch Alan. Oh, that's what I can do in the morning. It's just comedy gold.
Oh, and we have an Elliot.
We have an Elliot!
We'll
That was
just...
brilliant.
Oh, now he's on mute.
Isn't in the movie, he's getting hijacked by someone who goes, he's just tugging me off. And he's like, no, not like that.
The two things I think of it with him, it's just these two things. Is one, the Dan car park situation.
Yep.
Dan.
And secondly, when the ewes throw the cow off the bridge on the when
Oh,
he's
you're
on the
going old
boat.
school. Yeah, yeah.
The things are under the cow. It's like the most ridiculous bit.
I think the most
Do you remember when he's in the
one
lift?
is- Oh, sorry,
And he-
go on, Drew.
Oh, sorry. And he likes that girl, and he goes, are you getting off here, or are you going all the way with me?
I think the
No,
impression
Elliot's gone
you get-
again.
The impression
That's happened already.
He'll be back.
I
in a
think
second.
Elliot got nervous because he's like, shit, I don't know any Alan Partridge.
He's going to line up his best Partridge quote. That's what it
He's
is.
just googling Alan Partridge immediately, and then we'll come
I
back.
think that-
He's
like
actually
the most-
gone off to rehearse it, and he's like, I'm going to nail this guy.
Most-
That Alan
It's gotta
Partridge
be
bit where he,
like- when he goes like, it was like Back of the Net or Jurassic Park, like that.
Jurassic
Love that.
Park. Yeah, that's a bit of a classic. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that new series that came out with Alan Partridge was actually pretty good. It wasn't as peak, but it was still very solid.
See, I think his newer stuff is some of his strongest. Since he's offloaded the writing to the Gibbons brothers,
Elliot,
I
we
think
see you.
they've taken
can
to
you
new
hear me?
territory.
Lewis, shut up.
Oh.
Lewis,
We can
stop.
hear you.
Yes!
We can hear you.
Yes.
We have an
Oh.
Elliot.
You're like the voice of God. This
Oh,
is
was I?
Elliot speaking.
Welcome to the show.
Well, guys, I will have done a proper intro before we talk shit, so people will know who you guys are. But to introduce you properly,
I
as you're
prefer that
both here,
intro.
we did have some technical issues. I don't know why, but we did have technical issues. Just Riverside opened 50 times, apparently.
Russians.
Yeah.
This is technically Five Guys.
Yep, we are.
Oh, let's
currently
get a burger.
Yeah. So anyway, to be serious for a second, our guest this week is a podcast with Elliot and Lewis called That's Not How It Went Down, which I think is a genius idea. Like ours is just rambling sometimes and a bit random, whereas you've got an actual concept that you go into on a regular basis, which I think is a fantastic idea. And you clearly must have to do a lot of research as well. It's not just rock up. You need to do some deep dives into these sort of things. Like, how did you start the podcast? What made you come up with this idea?
You wouldn't be able to shut us up if we didn't have like an end goal. Do you know what I mean? The podcast would just turn into us, because we when we sort of came up with the idea of starting a podcast, we were sitting in the pub, weren't we? And some guy that we didn't know leaned over next to our table and went, "Do you guys have a podcast?" And we couldn't sort of tell if he was taking the piss out of us or not. I assume he probably was. He was like, "Do you have a podcast?" And we were like, "Oh no, we don't." He was like, "You guys really should start one. You guys, you know." But
It does sound like an insult.
I thought that as well. Like,
cool.
could you guys shut the fuck up? Yeah.
We didn't start one for another like 2 years, so we really ruminated on whether it was an insult or not.
Yeah, we waited for him to move away.
In the cinema, and they're like, "Can you start a podcast?"
Yeah. But no, we sort of got in touch with a studio that we were both kind of friendly with, and we sort of posited the idea that we thought it would be quite interesting to have a look at movies that are based on true stories and do a deep dive into exactly how accurate they are. With every week, one of us comes in having done all the research into that particular movie, and the other one comes in completely cold, having just watched the film but not knowing any of the kind of, you know, the truth behind what's actually gone on. So we've got every episode, we try and keep one of us playing the role of the audience, you know, so we can ask.
Teaching that individual about, you're teaching the other person about that.
Yeah, we want to ask the questions that we think everybody out there listening probably has as well. You know, like one of the first episodes we did was Cool Runnings, and we were saying, well, hold on, is it really true that these guys were 4 failed sprinters that ended up on the Jamaican bobsled team? And then, you know, the more you kind of dig into that, more you realise that perhaps it's a little bit more fabricated than you first think.
It's a great idea. It really is. And I think the headline of the stuff that I've seen of you guys recently as well is that, what's it actually called? The podcast awards. I don't know what the independent podcast awards. You guys won it.
Best TV and film podcast. Yeah, it's really, and it was pretty much maybe like 7 days out from being exactly a year on from when we launched, which was a really satisfying sort of journey for our first year. It was really cool. It was a really good evening. It's great to be nominated, but it was great to win, and chatting to other sort of like-minded podcasters and stuff. And it's a nice little little medal.
Did you get invited if anyone's listening? You know.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, honestly, they did such a nice job. Honestly, like they work so hard on those awards, and like you can tell that they've got a real passion for independent podcasting, which obviously we all do here as well. And it's really nice that there's a bunch of people that put in a load of effort into, like, I mean, how many categories were there? There were so many categories on all the different topics you can think of in terms of podcasting, and they put on a really nice event in King's Cross, which isn't far away from where we record as well. So we got dolled up, and then, like Lewis says, it's nice to be nominated, and then they called our name, and we were like, wow. So it's just a really nice bookend to our first year of podcasting.
And we were the quickest, like, you know, when at the start of the ceremony they were saying, you know, don't do speeches here. There'll be you can go through backstage and do a little speech for our website and things like that. So just come up, have your photo, take the award, and go. And 2 things you need to do when other people went up. Some people are, you know, stuck in the middle of aisles, in the middle of rows, so you're having to applaud. Elliot and I like keeping the applause going, so you haven't got like dead air when they're standing there for their photo. And then when we went up, we were up and gone in like 12 seconds.
Like
done.
Usain Bolt, weren't we? We just sprinted up there.
Best behaved. Yeah, exactly.
You can just see the dust coming off your heels.
Yeah, exactly.
For anyone wondering, me, Kevin Drew will be serving drinks at next year's awards and selling merchandise in Brick Lane afterwards. So if you just want to maybe brick.
Perfect.
Yeah, for every other podcast but ours. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys are kind of like the Sherlock Holmes and Watson of the podcast world, then, technically. Like, you're trying to find the clues of, well, I mean, you guys have to find it out.
Yeah.
You're trying to find the clues connected to the truth behind movies. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, obviously there are those movies that are so obviously based on true stories, you know, that they say at the beginning of the film, this is a true story. We did like films like A Beautiful Mind recently, the Oscar winner from 2001, and that's obviously based on a true story. And then we do other movies which are which you might not know were actually based on a true story. Things like Footloose, and movies like that, which is completely based on a true story about the kids of Elmore City who weren't allowed to dance at their prom because of the the kind of the Bible Belt in America. And then we have a look at other movies as well, which aren't necessarily inspired by a true story, but are influenced by different people throughout history that come together that all those aspects are put together to make a movie. Lou did an episode a few weeks ago on Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is inspired by archaeology and different kind of specialists from all around the world who find these different artifacts and stuff. So yeah, we try and keep it as different as we possibly can.
It's good to keep it loose, isn't it? Because Raiders of the Lost Ark clearly isn't true, but like you said, there's elements of truth.
People didn't melt.
Yeah.
People didn't melt.
Well, that's the thing. That's the one thing that is true. No, it's more that it's really satisfying reverse engineering it and sort of going, especially when they're maybe a bit longer ago, and you're sort of trying to paint a picture of the time it's set in. Indiana Jones was a really interesting one because you could just talk about the character, and you're going, okay, Spielberg and Lucas wrote this character that was inspired by explorers from TV serials from the turn of the century, and at that time you had real explorers that were influencing the TV serials. So sometimes you can go so many iterations back. It's kind of like Inception. You keep going, you're like, there's the possible sort of genesis of the idea, and sometimes a lot of it is able to like go all the way up the chain to what we then see on the screen. Other times it differs quite drastically.
Is
But yeah,
is that imaginary path that he walks on that's invisible? Is that real?
Oh, Last Crusade. We haven't done Last Crusade yet. Yeah, but Lou, you were telling me about the Golden Idol at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and about how that is basically based on a real artifact that was discovered in, was it Peru? Was it a Machu Picchu or something like that?
No, it was.
Put you on the spot now.
It's the Dumbarton Oaks birthing figure because it's housed at Dumbarton Oaks Museum. But it's you have to listen to the podcast to find out exactly the truth behind it. But yeah, the design for it is based on a real artifact, and then you can then tell the story behind that artifact, and whether it links to the film directly or not, it's just an interesting, discovery, an anecdote.
I think people are going to love this episode because they're actually going to learn something. Because all our other episodes are just absolute chaos.
Absolute bollocks.
Yeah. Just a quick message to thank you all for listening to our show, whether it's through Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. If you are enjoying, why not follow, click to subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. Also, a reminder to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for fun clips from the show. We love and appreciate your support, and thanks for sharing us with friends. This helps us to grow, improve, and continue creating. Now, back to the conversation.
I was listening to your episode on Gary Oldman as well, and I was jealous that I wasn't involved in that episode because I feel like I could just go and go and go on someone like Gary Oldman.
Oh, lovely! Yeah, that was good. He's such an interesting man, isn't he? He's just a cool guy.
And we've got
I watched the episode of Friends with him last night, actually, funnily enough, because I've never seen Friends all the way through. So I just slowly make my way through. My partner's like, let's put another episode on. And it was the Gary Oldman episode last night.
Which one is that?
James, it's the one you picked up where he spits on the actor.
Yeah.
He's like where he says the best actors
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's great.
And then the second bit is when they're going to the wedding, but Gary Oldman's pissed, so they can't do the scene properly because we'll do it later. Yeah. And he's like, no, but come on, I gotta get to a fucking wedding now.
One film I'm curious if I've looked through most of the sort of films that you've done. I don't know, probably might have missed it if you have. I doubt you have because it's not technically a true story. But I'd be interested if you haven't done it to do an episode on Fargo.
Well, check the back catalogue, Kev, because it is solidly in there. Yeah, you would be very surprised to, I think, hear about a very gruesome murder involving a wood chipper that took place in the 1980s. Yeah,
because the point of the film is that it's not true, and it says this is a true story, but it's not true. But obviously, you found elements that are true that they've borrowed from, I guess.
Yeah, well, the Coens actually did a few interviews where they referenced, because people kept asking them, do you say it's based on a true story? You say it's based on a true story. What is it? And they very sort of loosely referenced 3 separate cases that they drew inspiration from. One being a car salesman who manages to sort of fiddle the books and fit false plates. The other being a sort of bungled kidnapping that takes place in a family home involving the mother, which we see William H. Macy's wife get kidnapped by Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare. Is that his name? Yeah, Peter Stormare.
Yeah, Stormare. Yeah.
And the third crime is this crime involving the wood chipper, where in real life there was a flight attendant named Hella Craft, who was, I think she was Danish, and she went missing, and her husband was the prime suspect. So, yeah.
He had a wood chipper. He had a wood chipper in the front garden.
There was a motorway sort of repair guy. Actually, I think he was driving like a gritter lorry, and he was driving down the road at night spreading grit, and he saw this pickup truck at the side of the road with a battered old wood chipper attached to the back, and this guy just kind of standing next to it. And he thought, that's really, really strange. And then didn't think anything more about it. And then a little while later, this call was going out to see if anyone had seen anything suspicious. He gets in touch with the cops and says, oh, yeah, I actually saw this guy with a wood chipper. And that related back to an FBI investigation into this crime. And they then went down to that site, had a look at the area around where this wood chipper was meant to be, and found some pretty gruesome stuff. So, yeah, there's lots in there that's pretty cool.
While you were talking about that, for some reason, my overactive mind, when you said spraying out grit, I thought you were going to be like spraying out bits of the lady just on the road. Like, you're like, that'll help get rid of the snow. And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't normally come out.
The wood chipper is bad enough.
That wasn't until later, yeah.
Wait, 2 seconds. Drew just said that sort of stuff doesn't normally come out. How many people have you put through a wood chipper, Drew?
No, I'm talking about the
it
grit
filters it, doesn't it?
Grit machines don't normally throw out pieces of a lady. Do you know what I mean?
What's that fact as well? Is it about a leech, where you can put a leech into a blender or something like that, and then the leech will eventually reform? Oh, sponge.
Sponges, is it? Yeah.
Oh, sponge. Yeah.
They both soak up liquid, so
Just put SpongeBob in a blender and see if it comes back together.
And then eventually it'll come back, yeah.
So, guys,
That'll be a horror movie.
Yeah, when you guys do these films, like, what's your thought process behind it? Do you just pick a film at random, or is it, Lewis picks one, then Elliot picks one, or is there some sort of methodology of some sort of coherent thing, or is it just complete random?
So we'll alternate recordings, and we'll sort of look at the past few in a row and think, okay, what's a bit left field from this, so we don't do too many of the same genre in a row. We have a shared document between us that's maybe about 400, 500 films long at this point, and we gradually just tick them off as we go. Obviously, some of them are really obscure in terms of, they're not, we do massive films like Catch Me If You Can and recent things like Roofman. But then occasionally we'll do one that's a complete curveball and something that maybe not as many people have heard of. So there's, the list is replete. But we actually tend to, I think recent ones that you've picked, Elliot, haven't even been on that list. So Elliot will just turn around and go, next week, make sure you watch this. And I'll think, oh, we haven't even flagged that as a true story.
Goes off list. Absolute anarchist.
What can I say, guys? It's Maverick.
We're going off menu tonight, lads.
Well, I've said this analogy a few times. I think Elliot's probably bored of hearing it, but it's the same mindset as, you do like a massive food shop, and then you get home, put it on the fridge, and you're like, let's get a takeaway. I don't want to sully all of the stuff I bought. Attitude. It's the same with the movie list. You had all these films, and you're like, but can I do one this week that isn't on the list, so I don't eat into our, our future catalogue?
Don't go shopping hungry.
Don't eat into the reserves.
Friday night.
But we're probably the same as you guys. We try and remain as egalitarian as possible. If we do like a historical drama one week, then we want to do a sports movie the next week. Then we want to do like an espionage thing, and we also try and balance it out as well, so that we're not always doing as much as we love movies that were released in the 90s, because that's when we were growing up. We try not to just kind of bed into that. So I think the oldest film we've done is was it All About Eve, which I think is 1950. Eve, yeah. And we've had a look at Spartacus as well from 1960. So we really try. I mean, I'm a massive fan of 1970s American cinema. So any time I can get in, recently we did Saturday Night Fever. Which
I saw that. That was really interesting. The stuff you're saying about Saturday Night Fever, I was like, come on, that can't. And I think the way you described it and the way you laid it on was really clever, because a film like that, you could just say that's true, this is not. And I love the way you interweave the stories to kind of make that narrative. So I really enjoyed that episode. That was really good.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks, Kev. That was a real surprise because I think a lot of people at the time realised that it had been claimed that it was a true story. Obviously, we weren't around at the time, but for me, I had no idea that it was based on anything at all. But it was based on the writings of this kind of well-known music writer who did some scouting around in the Brooklyn nightclub scene and then put all of his writings together. But yeah, anyway, so there's loads of stuff throughout the years, and we try and pick and choose from different genres and different time periods as well.
Do you get
Well, egalitarian's a great word to describe it, because we do try and keep everything on a complete level playing field. So we don't really have any bias to anything, do we? We cover anything and everything and treat it all the same. So yeah, egalitarian's a great word to describe probably what we do too.
Yeah. Yeah, and we realised a little while ago that obviously, as is the case with cinema, that most of the movies we were looking at were male-led, weren't they? And we decided that we need to have a little look at that as well and make sure that we're focusing just as much on female-led films as we are male-led films. It's obviously it's not as easy because the history of cinema is kind of replete with male-led movies, but it's just something that we hadn't really considered. And then a few of our female listeners got in touch with us and was saying how much they enjoyed the show, and we were like, do you know what? We sort of really haven't been. Do you know what I mean? You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Do you get fans like trying to call you out and be like, tell me the truth behind this film? And like it's like a really complex film. You're like, they might just say, I don't know.
Well, like Jumanji.
Yeah. Did a jigsaw puzzle exist?
I quite like the challenge of. Elliot deals with a lot of it, but he'll say, "Oh, we've had a lot of suggestions for this film, or something that we might already have on our list," but it makes us sort of bump it up the priority order. But I quite like the challenge. I think part of that thing of picking a film that's not on the list, sometimes, especially if you've done a really intense, either like a legal one. I did The Social Network a few months ago,
Oh, wow.
and the week after that, I was like, I need to do something just really simple comparatively.
Ventura.
Something that's easy to make interesting to listen to. And The Social Network is really interesting, but it's a very dense research to extract what then is worth telling people. So I quite like it when it's a film that there's only a small amount you can sort of initially tether, but then you can describe like I said earlier, the era, the time period, some of the actors that were in it, and you find that enough of that sort of makes it into the film as well. It's not just transposing a real story from a newspaper. Oh, let's put that on the screen. It's kind of like, oh, well, this was happening around that time as well, and that ends up in the film, probably a product of the era it was made in. So sometimes it's quite fun when someone sends you one that's like, well, this tiny element of this film is true. And you think, well, we can get an hour out of that, sure.
Just extracting the truth from like.
How many people argue with you when you say a fact and someone goes, "That's not true"?
Go on, Elliot.
You looked at this research because there's no such thing as truth. You can say that this happened because of this, and someone else can go, "Nah, that didn't happen."
Yeah. We put up a social media post the other day where Lewis had asked me a question about Saturday Night Fever and said, were the songs written for the movie or did they exist beforehand? And I was saying that according to John Travolta, when they started production on the film, the Bee Gees weren't even involved. So none of those tunes that Staying Alive and Night Fever and whatever, More Than a Woman, they were not written when they started production on the film. So we put out this social media post being like, this is a quote from John Travolta, and I read it out, being like, the Bee Gees weren't involved. Somebody underneath just puts, wrong. The songs already existed, and they knew about them. And I was like, well, John Travolta said that they didn't. So, like, I'm probably going to side with John Travolta on this one.
It's good that you siphon it to him, but also his memory might not be accurate.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't you think it's weird? Like obviously you're talking about what's true and what's not, but obviously you do a bit of like talking about just reviewing in general, saying whether you liked it or not as well. But like with Saturday Night Fever, it's clouded in people's mind. If you ask someone about Saturday Night Fever, what it is, it's a jolly film with dancing. It's a horrible film about rape and violence in New York, and it is not a pleasant film. There just happens to be a fun dancing scene. It's quite a dark film, isn't it? Like,
it's really dark. I mean, the week before when Elliot announced it, I think I say, oh, isn't that, because you told me it's R-rated, and I'd never seen it. I was like, really? Or if I had seen it, it would have been, it wouldn't have I wouldn't have gotten it. Well, I watched it when I was a young teenager or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I watched it, I was like, I think I say in the podcast, it's more similar to something like Raging Bull than Grease.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's got that many horrible people in it and a very dark, depiction of a dark period.
I
It's an interesting one with.
Footloose and Saturday Night Fever in a similar camp. But
Well, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I think it's the first 18 rated film that we've looked at on the podcast actually, which is weird because there don't seem to be that many movies based on true story that actually end up being 18 rated. But the interesting thing about Saturday Night Fever is that the producer signed John Travolta to a 3-picture deal for $1 million. And he was a Broadway producer, a guy called Robert Stigwood. And John Travolta had been in Grease on Broadway, not playing the main role, but he'd been in Grease, and he wanted to make Grease, this producer, but they couldn't get the rights to it. So they had to then scrabble around to try and find another movie. That's when they found this article that Saturday Night Fever came out of. They made Saturday Night Fever, and then the year after, they went and made Grease. So it's the same lead actor, the same producer, and the same kind of 3-picture movie deal. So I think people in their minds go, oh yeah, Grease and Saturday Night Fever, they're almost like, in the same like canon. They're like sequels of each other, and they're just absolutely not. And then people go back and watch Saturday Night Fever, and they're like, Jesus Christ, this is not what I was expecting at all, yeah.
And they watch Grease 3, and it's all about bowling. Like, the
Grease
weirdest
3?
film.
there's a Grease 3.
Grease 2, sorry. Grease 2. It's all about bowling, isn't it?
He's a cool rider, a cool rider.
The overly English guy and the guy that's clearly 45 years old playing a 12-year-old, whatever he's doing.
Isn't it strange that John Travolta fell off a cliff? It's really surprising because he was everywhere, and it took Pulp Fiction to bring him back. But I don't see why he drifted off. I don't know what happened to him.
He became box office poison, I think he was deemed at one point, because he did the third of that 3-picture deal. I can't even remember what it was called. And
Look who's talking.
It wasn't Look Who's Talking, but he did the third of that 3-picture deal, and it didn't go well. Then he did Staying Alive, which was the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, directed by Sylvester Stallone. And that did shite as well. And then he just had a series of box office bombs. And it doesn't take long, I think, for people to just be like, you know what, he ain't got it anymore. And like you say, it took Quentin Tarantino kind of having a look at him and going, oh, maybe we can get him back in movies for that to kind of turn around for him.
Do you feel like Quentin Tarantino is going to have to save Jared Leto's career as well? Because he seems to be in a lot of bombs.
That's not going to work. Tarantino's next film's got Jared Leto and Paul Dano in there.
Have you already spoken about the Paul Dano incident?
No.
You haven't?
Not in detail, no.
What on earth's all that about? It's just come out of nowhere.
I reckon he's setting it up that he's in the next film. He's the star in the next film.
And Matthew Lilliard as well, we were saying.
Yeah, he's not the most exciting actor, but he is genuinely very good. He plays a lot of dumbed down characters. But what's the film Money?
Big Money. Dumb Money.
No, it came out like 2 years ago. Where
Dumb Money. It's the one about the stock market.
It's not called Big Money, though, is it?
No, Big Short.
All the money in the world.
No, not the Big Short. It's Dumb Money, I think. It's
about
when the whole
It's Dumb Money.
it's about the whole stock market thing for GameStop went up.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Have you guys seen that? Because that would be worth doing on your podcast. Dumb Money?
Yeah, I know.
No, we haven't.
I know what you're talking about, though. I know about the thing about the GameStop stock.
It's all about GameStop, and that is pretty accurate with the guys.
This is a brilliant film, and it only came out a couple of years ago, and it's probably worth you doing a record of that because the world's talking about Paul Dano at the moment, and that's a Paul Dano film that's all about
the other one
truth and
is
true
The
stories.
Big Short, which is about the stock market short back in the day,
Dale,
which is also very, very accurate.
Yeah,
To what it is. The Big Short's a great one. That's so accurate to what happened.
So guys, from all the sort of things you've been looking at and all the films that you've discussed, has there been like a fact that has really gone like, what the hell? Like something so obscure or so outrageous that it can't be real, and you've gone, what? That's apart from the wood chipper.
Why don't we go around the table?
Yeah,
Craziest lie in cinema each.
No. I'm talking about the craziest truth that you thought was a lie. You assumed was fabricated, and someone actually did it.
Lou, I'll let you go first, and I'll think of one.
A truth that then I'm trying to think of one where it's like
The
it
moments when
becomes
you
a
and me
common
like,
myth.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's a common myth that it's a lie, but it's actually true.
Is that called the Mandela effect? No.
Yeah.
Sort
Exactly
of.
right.
Yeah, it's in that vein.
Because you think a film ends a certain way, and then when you go back and rewatch, you go, that didn't happen. But when you were like, I swear it ended differently. But
What are some of the? The when I did the research for The Terminal, that overall was just quite fascinating. Just because whether people remember the news story or not of the guy that it was based on, but he was, I think in The Terminal, Victor Navorsky's in the airport for something like
18 years.
year?
Tom Cruise one where he stayed in the airport.
Yeah,
Tom
no,
Hanks.
but
Tom
it's
Hanks.
Victor Navorsky. Yeah, Tom Hanks. Yeah, but
doing his own stunts.
he's in the film. He's in the airport for something like 14 or 16 months or whatever. But the real guy, Mehran Nasseri, was in Charles de Gaulle Airport for 18 years.
Yeah.
Which is just like a staggering. Yeah, he lived in this departure line for 18 years, and I think on the podcast, like that's one of my favorite moments of a reaction from Elliot.
Yeah,
because he just assumes I've said the wrong word.
I was like, surely you mean 18 months, and then you were sort of describing it and going on, and in the end, I was getting quite annoyed because I'm not annoyed at you, but I was getting annoyed at like the French authorities because I was like, how could you possibly let this happen? How could you let this man who clearly wasn't very well? You know, by the end of the podcast, we sort of uncovered the fact that he probably wasn't doing great, and I thought, how can these French authorities have the gall, no pun intended, to keep this man in Charles de Gaulle Airport for 18 years. I mean, it's just like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Did he at least get everything duty free?
Yeah.
He brought up his kids there. He had grandkids there.
18-year tax write-off, yeah.
But he was sort of pretending that he was almost like nobility, wasn't he? He was sort of saying that he was descended from, a certain stock of people and it was all just a bit messy, and it wasn't quite right.
Can you earn air miles if you're not actually flying, but if you're just there for so long?
Just unlimited.
Close to the planes.
It's
like you stand on the spot in GTA where the money generates.
It's like Morrison's reward card. Like someone else goes in a flight. Just buzz me. I'll take.
Can I take your points? Can I take your air miles?
Yeah.
But you said he was like he was banking using like the post office, wasn't he? At the airport, he was doing all this banking because he basically set up like a GoFundMe, and then all these people were giving him money on this GoFundMe, and he was just banking through like the airport.
Genius.
People would give him money, but he was also paid for his story. But then they didn't use it, so yeah, they did buy his story from him.
I never knew that was based on a true story.
No,
yeah, like heavily so.
It's
one of my favourite films. Never knew that was based on a true story.
Do you know what's quite strange? Tom Hanks does a lot of films connected to true stories.
He does.
Because he did the aeroplane
Pilot one.
Yeah.
Catch Me If You Can.
Sully,
yeah, Catch Me If You Can, and then he
Big.
did. James, you going to say it? James, you did the rest.
Apollo 13.
Oh, yeah. James is my I'm a ventriloquist, and James is doing the voice for me. He did the latest one with the old man that's a bit suicidal.
Otto or something. Yeah.
Otto. Yeah, I think that isn't that based on.
That's phenomenal. I love
is it?
That
I mean, that's your job. I don't know.
It's a you get these sort of films. You know that it's going to be cliche. You know it's going to be a grumpy old man that gets soft at some point, and then it goes lovey-dovey. It's one of those films where you just know the trajectory. But he's such a good actor. It's such a good story. It's played so well that you hate him, then you love him, and then you're weeping at the end. You're going, I knew you'd do this to me.
In equal measure, there's a really powerful scene and it shows kind of the way society is. An old man falls on a train track. And I think it's at the time when he's thinking he wants to take his own life, potentially, because he's suicidal. And everyone just gets out their phones and starts filming. And he just starts saying, why doesn't everyone do anything? And he actually climbs onto the train tracks and saves the man. So it's quite a powerful kind of reflection on society, how we're so quick to film things. Like Ricky Gervais says as well, like a little kid fell into a monkey cage.
Finish the sentence.
And
Oh,
it
no.
says,
Oh, the enclosure, yeah.
they
Justice for
filmed it,
Harambe. Yeah.
but no
Well,
Yeah,
one
they filmed
going
it,
in
yeah.
to help this little kid that's stuck inside a gorilla pit or
Stuck
whatever.
inside a gorilla.
Well, yeah. Well, if we lose him, we've made 300 quid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right. It's like, I put this on, you've been framed, but it's like, why didn't you be helpful instead of you've been framed?
But
Right. To give Elliot another few minutes to think of his answer to the most interesting true story that shouldn't be, have you guys seen The Iron Claw?
Yeah.
No, that's
No,
it's a wrestling
the
movie,
Von
isn't
Erich.
it?
the wrestlers.
Yeah,
but
Zac Efron.
it's not heavy on the wrestling. Yes, there's wrestling, but I couldn't give a shit about
I'm a
wrestling.
big wrestling fan.
James loves it, but it's the only film that made me cry in the cinema in a public place. It's fucking horrible in a great way.
Very close to accurate.
Well, I won't say what it is, but I do know, because it's on our list, and I do know that a big thing from the off about that storyline that apparently makes it even sadder than the film.
Yeah,
so we
that's
will do it at some point.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we just had a look at James. Have you seen The Smashing Machine?
I have. He doesn't.
Yeah,
know
I'm a
what-
big Mark Kerr fan because I'm
He's
a
not
big
a cinema
UFC
fan,
fan. I'm a
Ah.
big combat sport fan. So Mark Kerr, yes, watched him for years. But then the Smashing Machine come out. I heard the reviews and was like a bit put off. But I will watch it. But the Von Erichs,
Right, guys. See, the problem with our podcast is that we're a movie podcast. We talk about movies, and James is allergic to the cinema, so it makes it tricky.
I sympathise, yeah.
My issue in life is I like everything. So no matter what topic you bring up, I'll probably like it.
Well, we did it. We did an
the
episode
Kerry
a couple
Von
of weeks.
Erichs and that of the world. Yeah, I followed the Von Erichs.
We did a couple of weeks ago. We did an episode on the Smashing Machine. So go and see the film and then have a listen to the episode because there's it's not like it's dramatically different, but there's loads of little intricacies that they kind of sweep over and things like that. And I thought
definitely check that out.
I thought it was a good film. I just I question why they felt it needed to be made actually, and I go into more detail on our podcast about why exactly that is.
Mate,
I was hoping it would be more down the warrior kind of
No.
vibe. I don't
No,
think
exactly
it's
what
warrior.
you say.
Yeah, Lewis said that. Yeah, Lewis said that.
Yeah, so Elliot, like that film for me, I went to see it at the cinema with open arms. Like I was open to it.
Open mind.
I knew I was open mind. I wanted to be good. I was kind of fighting for it to be good, and I was so disappointed. Like it was. I went with a UFC fan. One of my mates is like a proper UFC nerd, knows everything. And at the end, we looked at each other, but our faces were both like, "What?
Yeah.
Why did we sit through that?" Like, I think the most uncomfortable thing for me is the fact that The Rock is a mountain of a man.
Yeah.
Physically in stature, he was the wrong casting because he's getting beat up by 5'10" blokes, and I know that's in the true story of it all. But Mark Kerr was like 6 foot just, and like you've got The Rock playing him, and it's not feasible that any of the people that were in front of him could beat him up. There's no chance any one of those humans could beat him up in the film world.
Yeah, the issue that Mark Kerr had, though, was that the amount of drugs that he was taking, the amount of painkillers, was messing with him. So quite often he would find himself in the ring, basically unable to move. Whether that was to do with the fact that he was sort of going through a bit of a nervous breakdown, or whether that was just the fact that these drugs were putting him in such a state that he was quite frequently ending up in like not necessarily a stupor, but he was just in fight or flight. So he would the fight. I think he fights the Japanese fighter in the film. I can't remember what the name of the fighter is, but he basically says afterwards, "I just felt like I couldn't move." So you're right. Like physically, he should have been able to intimidate those guys and get the best of them, but he would essentially get himself into a position and not be able to comprehend the way to get out of it. So yeah, there's a lot of emotional and mental stuff going on in that film as well, not just the physical. Yeah.
I feel like they should have maybe made it a bit more psychological, though, so that you could see him fighting the panic attack and that he's having this kind of anxiety element so that you see what he's seeing. Because if you just shoot it like a normal fight sequence, like Kev was saying, it just looks unrealistic. And the continuity, like that wouldn't work.
That's how they filmed The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
But
it's all about what's going on up here.
But that's a brilliant film. But The Smashing Machine wasn't brilliant because it didn't lean into that. Yeah, we saw him taking lots of drugs, but we didn't see the effect.
Yeah.
We just saw him a little bit uncomfortable, but you'd still be able to smash the shit out of someone if you're 6'6".
If it was
Yeah,
like
size does matter. There's reasons why there's weight classes in MMA.
I
Like,
get they wanted to employ him, and he's a decent actor if you give him a chance, but
I think if it was like leaving Las
beside
Vegas.
Emily Blunt, he just looked terrible. Sorry,
Sorry,
Drew.
Dev. I was going to say, I think if it was like leaving Las Vegas meets the Smashing Machine, that would kind of work. Do you know what I mean? So you see him under the influence.
Yeah.
You know, the thing as well.
I think
The thing as well is that The Rock is 50. What's he? 52 or something like that.
52.
He's in his 50s.
I think he's 55 now or something.
Wow.
Right. I mean,
55.
and you know, Mark Kerr at the point that they're sort of portraying him in the film is like 28. You know, so there is a different mindset. Seriously, so there's a completely different mindset that Mark Kerr
Didn't
would have
think of
had,
that.
and you know, a confidence and a kind of ease that the Rock has all the time that Mark Kerr just sort of didn't. He was like a rabbit in the headlights, and you don't get that sort of portrayal well.
Why did the Safdie brothers go, I know, this guy's 28-year-old. We're doing like a kind of, you know, like one of those
Yeah,
realistic.
but who else is jacked like Mark Kerr was back in the day?
Yeah.
Name
Well,
another actor. There
there's
isn't
loads of
any.
people- There's loads of people built though like that.
There's
isn't
none. None
Well,
that
the
the size of
weirdest-
Mark Kerr.
not
Sorry,
to
go
not
on,
to
Lewis.
spoil it's not to spoil the podcast if people are going to listen to the episode, but why that question is so pertinent, why did Ben Safdie make it, which is what Elliot revealed to me in the podcast, is that it is pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of a documentary called The Smashing Machine.
Ah.
And Elliot then goes on to say that it's really hard to find that documentary anywhere on on a legal streaming platform right now.
Okay.
So when you take that into account, it feels like, you say they employed Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it feels like Dwayne Johnson has gone, well, why don't I do this story but put myself in the role, and we'll just quietly sweep the documentary under the carpet, and this can be the go-to smashing machine that people watch for the life and times of Mark Kerr. And that's why we don't get perhaps a film like you said, Drew, that's like Leaving Las Vegas meets The Smashing Machine, where we see more of his inner turmoil, because they basically go, well, what happened in the documentary? Okay, he went to the doctors. Okay, let's just shoot that scene.
So
Let's
it's
shoot
more
that scene.
voyeuristic.
It doesn't go any further than a documentary. So at that point, the question is, why are you
I
making
think
the
also
film?
the point is, if you asked 100 people in the street who Mark Kerr is, 100 people are going to know, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Well, I know who Mark Kerr is because I've been watching UFC since 1998. Like, I know who he is. Exactly. People. It's not like a Muhammad Ali film or a Mike Tyson movie. It was never going to be a blockbuster. The Rock was the selling point. So that I feel the people that were making it thought they'd written a great memoir to Mark Kerr, but had to have the number one guy in Hollywood to make people watch it.
Dude, the Safdie brothers are big enough on themselves that they could
of course
employ
they are.
anyone and do anything.
They are, but most
They
people
chose
watch actors rather than
They
directors
chose a
these
bad
days.
project.
Well-
On the other hand, Josh Safdie has chosen a much more interesting subject, but still niche, of doing
The
the
Timothy
Martyrs
Chalamet
storyline.
one. Yeah, but that's based on a true story as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume
and
you're gonna
the
do a-
reviews of that are excellent.
Yeah.
And
I'm
we
excited.
say that Dwayne Johnson has been nominated for a Golden Globe as well.
Oh, was he? I
He's
haven't
not
seen
gonna
that.
win. He ain't
I didn't
going to
see
win
that.
that.
Yeah,
Nolan's given him his flowers, though. That's what I thought was weird, because that was the only thing that potentially got me thinking I want to see this film. When Christopher Nolan said, I think that Dwayne Johnson's performance in The Smashing Machine is the best acting performance of this year. Have you seen that quote?
Yeah.
That's what Christopher
No.
Nolan...
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
I thought you were going to say the best acting performance of his career, and I'd have been like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
But-
yeah,
but-
his career,
but this
definitely,
year,
but not of the year.
No.
that's
fuck
that's
you.
a big insult.
I might be.
No, Drew, you're
He's
correct.
actually acting. He's not just running around in a khaki vest with gloves on in a jungle.
Yeah, it's-
Which he tends to
it's
find.
decent.
The Rock tends to find himself in a khaki shirt in a jungle a lot.
Drew is
It's not a bad
correct.
performance. It's not a bad. He does. It's
No,
he
it's
isn't bad
decent.
in it. He's good, but it's just that the project itself is weird because almost every scene is a shot-for-shot remake of what is in the documentary, and the documentary came out, I think, in 2002. So it's a weird kind of emulation film. So I don't know if he is able to receive an acting award for it because he is literally copying scenes from a documentary. Sorry.
Guys, do you want me to give you the 6 nominations for best male actor in a motion
Oh,
picture
yeah, come on.
drama?
Let's go.
So it is Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine. There's no way he's going to win because of the next 5 people. Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen.
Uh-huh.
Not amazing film, but he did amazing in it. Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams.
Oh,
I've not seen it, but it's getting good hype. Michael B. Jordan for Sinners.
Oh,
Incredible.
Fantastic.
Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein.
Mm.
And Wagner Moore for The Secret Agent. I've not seen that one.
what?
Oh, because they're split between drama and comedy, aren't they?
Wait, I thought.
Because I was thinking,
Yeah, they're splitting the genre. It's really weird, aren't they?
yeah, because I was like, where's
not win
DiCaprio
anything
in there?
this year.
I thought Jesse Plemons would have been.
Not for
no,
drama.
sorry.
He'll be in
Begonia's
comedy.
probably a comedy or some shit.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah,
weird,
yeah.
yeah.
You watched Frankenstein earlier this week, didn't we, Lou?
What do you think?
I mean, say for the podcast, I thought it was a bit of a cop out. I wasn't scared one bit,
No.
and not even like I wasn't necessarily the sort of person that's going to hide behind the sofa, but it didn't even creep me out at
There were no
any
scares
point.
at all,
It's a
were there?
gothic horror, and it was just bless you.
Whoa, bless you.
It sounds like Saturday
just-
Night Fever.
Oh,
Saturday Night Fever was more scary than Frankenstein.
Yeah, it was more
saying
unsettling. That's for
Frankenstein's
sure.
Not, they're saying it's not a horror now, but
Well,
I get it. It's the story, but
it's a romantic goth horror. You found these mute buttons.
Yeah,
Well done.
My
didn't,
concern was that I thought that Oscar Isaac was slightly acting in a different film to everybody else. I think he's really good, but I think there's a directorial cock up there a little bit in the sense that he's kind of doing a slightly sent up performance, which again isn't bad. And I really I've got a lot of respect for Oscar Isaac. I think he's really good, but I think directorially there's an error there because you've got people performing in completely different worlds, which doesn't quite work.
No offense, Drew, but don't you think Oscar Isaac in Frankenstein was basically a drama student?
Yeah.
He was
You
like,
mean like an indie?
do you know?
like an indie?
Like the negative connotations you think of like a drama.
Oh,
Like Drew's an
it's
actor.
like the performance you mean
No,
was like
just like,
come
I'm going
out-
to act. I'm an
some
actor.
come out
I'm
of
very
drama school.
thespian.
Yeah. And this it's really interesting you said that, Elliot, because he's in thingy Llewellyn Davis, Inside Llewellyn Davis,
Inside Llewellyn Davis.
Yeah.
which is a performance and a half. So we know he can do very realistic, raw, emotive performance. And like you said, it felt very kind of theatrical and almost a bit
Del
pantomime.
Toro gave the wrong direction, or
Exactly.
didn't tell the other actors.
Yeah, because
It's not Oscar Isaac's fault, I don't think.
no,
I started it and I thought, oh, okay. I was like, Oscar Isaac's very good. Like his vocals, he's just very different. All the stuff on the ship in the north. The minute we start going back to his, time when he was having the idea, it gets a bit more fantastical. And because that's one of the next films we're doing on the podcast, and then after that I'm doing The Favourite, and it was interesting. I then watched The Favourite, and I was like, this feels like Oscar Isaac is in a Yorgos Lanthimos film in that Frankenstein depiction.
Mm-hmm.
That's the film he should be doing. And actually, watching that Frankenstein picture, I was like, this is trying to be Poor Things. But it's trying to be too silly, and like with the wide angle lens, it looked odd. It was drenched in CGI, which you associate Guillermo del Toro with some incredible pictures on scene, but
in the
there's
creature
practical
just looked
effects going
terrible.
on there.
I thought you looked
And
terrible.
the worst thing about it was, the creature looked like Nebula from Avengers. and
then what about Frankenstein now?
Yeah, we're still
Yeah.
The Beanie Baby Frankenstein.
the bit
Yes,
that really
squishy
annoyed me,
shoulders. Yeah.
yes, but the bit that really annoyed me is when it had the wolf attack on the blind man's house and stuff. You had all these CGI wolves running around, and then the next scene you had real wolves pulling a sled, and I was like, you've completely shown how bad the CGI is here, and we're in two different design worlds. Yeah,
Honestly,
I
I think
really want to like it.
The worst bit about that film was the actual structure. Like the fact of him arriving at the beginning was kind of cool, and him going to tell a story. I get it. You want to have it ended and go back. I like some films do it really well, but it was just like, here I'm going to tell a story, and it's just so long winded, and here we're going to get, oh god, we're going to get this side now. It was so drawn out. and
there was also ADR in there was ADR in there as well that wasn't matched up right. It's like that sort of Madame Web sort of stuff. Yeah, there was ADR that was just you were looking at their lips and the ADR was saying completely different stuff, and you're just like, this is like weird, kind of takes me out of it instantly. Rookie errors that you don't expect in that sort of film.
There was a thing on social media as well. I never spotted it when watching it, but there's a scene at the beginning, when he does the experiment with that body on the plinth, showing that it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
When he leaves that place and walks across the road of the cobble streets, and you've got that building in the background, for one, the print on the building was faded, which would be faded today, not back then. It'd be pristine.
Sure.
It says Hovis bread on the side of a building. It was faded like it is today. But apart from that, there was so many green screens. When he crossed the road, his collars kept flickering blue and green.
Oh no!
Because the people behind were green screened in afterwards. He was walking across like they fucked it up, and it's very obvious when they zoomed in and showed it. You probably wouldn't notice watching it. I didn't, but when you see that, you're like, this is Guillermo del Toro.
You don't notice the specifics of that, but you just notice the aesthetic on the whole film. I felt like I had too much cake by the end of it. I was like, I'm so sick of the amount of colour and extraneous stuff going on screen. It was just, it wasn't right.
To be fair, you had too much cake though.
Oh, Mr. Kipling's.
For me, when there's a great film like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is a great movie, it's so hard to reenact that because you're always thinking about the Mary Shelley version with Kenneth Branagh is phenomenal. It's such a good film that barely anyone that's young has seen now because it never comes up on Netflix or anything, and it's such a good movie.
I think the benchmark recently is Nosferatu, where there's no jump scares. Well, there's maybe one or two jump scares, but the majority of it is just atmosphere and feel. And that's the sort of thing that if you want to make a gothic horror movie, which this movie should be, it's one of the classic gothic horror stories of all time, then you have to really pump that atmosphere. And the reveal almost of the monster should be the same as the reveal that we get for Nosferatu, Count Orloff, or whatever his name is in Nosferatu. But unfortunately, by revealing the monster in the first 5 minutes of the film, like Lewis says, there's nothing to be scared of for the rest of the film because that
it's kind of, we were saying this in a recent conversation that the old school classics are coming back. You had a Wolfman movie last year, a Frankenstein one. We've got The Bride coming out, which is like a borderline cartoonish kind of version, and then you had your Nosferatu, but then you think about them films back in the day, like American Werewolf in London, where you very rarely see the actual monster, but it's just there.
Phenomenal.
And it's the idea of it, isn't it? And that's, I think, what got lost over horror. They very much wanted to slam the bad guy into your face as hard as they can.
Don't you think
back in the day it was very few and far between?
Yeah, but to go to your point, Robert Eggers smashed gothic horror when I know it's kind of a genre, is horror sort of genre, but it's Del Toro's fucking main genre, and he couldn't compete with Robert Eggers, who's quite, in theory, a young filmmaker in comparison. But Nosferatu was a masterpiece.
I just thought of a weird analogy for it when Elliot was just saying that. It's like Steven Spielberg's Jaws, but the shark is sunbathing first, and then it gets into the sea and scares the shit out of everyone. Because you're like, wait a minute, he was just tanning himself off, and it's you've diluted the fear.
But even then, we know that the monster only we know from so early on that the monster only ever means harm towards Victor Frankenstein, and he doesn't mean any harm towards anybody else. And so once they establish that in the first 15 minutes, all you're watching is a kind of journal entry. A kind of epistolary novel, which it's not very interesting.
I was entertained, but it was so long-winded.
It's kind of like an angry baby that's in love but very upset with its dad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
On a side note, I loved Mia Goth, but I do have a soft spot for her. I think she's phenomenal, but I prefer her in the gritty Ty West type stuff personally. But
see, I thought she was incredibly. Well, maybe it just goes to what Elliot was saying about Oscar Isaac being in a different film. But when she came on screen, I was like, she's not doing anything. And I agree.
Yeah.
I think she's really good. But she wasn't doing. But I was thinking she looks like she's not
Should've
doing
been given
anything
more.
compared to Oscar Isaac. Do you know what I mean? Like
I
she
would
was in a
say for
completely
me-
different film.
Yeah.
The ideal Frankenstein story as a horror would have been like a guy that harmlessly is putting together some people, but inadvertently,
That's not a sentence.
he does that thing. He's doing his stuff. He's like, I want to see if I can recreate life, but he inadvertently puts in the brain and the psyche of a psychopath. So he thinks he's creating life, like I can help people, blah blah blah. But inadvertently, he creates an absolute psychopath that goes on like a killing spree, which
Like
doesn't happen in
Maniac Cop.
Frankenstein. But that would be the true horror.
A bit
Saw
like
11.
it's a real person with Dharma's brain, and you're like, oh, they're
Yeah.
gonna go off and do some horrendous things. You're
Like,
like,
of all the brains I could have picked, I picked like freaking, I don't know,
Of all the brains, which one?
Jeffrey Epstein's, I don't know.
This one.
Again, that's
That's
the
the Last
point.
Crusade ending.
You guys were saying about Poor Things. There's a kind of connection
I've
there.
got Ted Bundy's brain, brilliant.
And Poor Things was phenomenal. It's not a Frankenstein film, but it is Frankenstein in a way, and that was
Yeah.
a perfect film. Like personally, I think Yorgos Lanthimos peaked. Like the favorite is probably the second best, but that is Poor Things is the best. And Kinds of Kindness fucking annoyed me, but Poor Things incredible. What do you guys think of that film? Like that's a hot topic.
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I do have a soft spot for sort of any Yorgos Lanthimos films because I just think he has a real. He does like, uproot you and really put you into his style and aesthetic very firmly, and maybe when I was watching Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, I was like, you're trying to do what Lanthimos is doing so well recently, and it's not funny enough and not zany enough. You just can't do it as well as Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah. No.
Oh, look, a cat.
Yeah, she does that a lot.
And Begonia was brilliant as well.
We're talking about Golden
Begonia's
Globes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to right? If I give you the 6 actors, the male actors, can you tell me what the actual subject? What would you call it? The criteria that are involved
Category?
in. So here's the 6 nominees: Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon. I've heard lots of good things. George Clooney in J. Kelly. Jesse Plemons in Begonia. Lee Bung-hun in No Other Choice. Don't know that one. Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another. And Timothée Chalamet in Marty Supreme.
Is it comedy actor or musical or whatever it's called?
Comedy and musical. Are you fucking having a laugh?
Lead
Elliot,
actor in a musical
genius.
I knew
comedy.
you were going to say. What was the classic one? Was it The Martian a few years ago where that was nominated
Yes,
for
yeah.
best motion picture, musical or comedy?
There's some comical moments, but it's not comedy. You
Was it-
can't- what?
It was the
what
same
is
for
wrong with
Colin
these
Farrell when he
people?
won. What was it? There was something for comical or In Bruges, I think, was comical or musical.
Well, that's a comedy.
Right.
That's
That-
a
I mean,
comedy.
that-
When they're stuck on
That is dark
Mars,
comedy,
that
at
was a
least.
comedy. It's like the cat's out of the bag now, isn't it?
No,
The
but-
genie's out
but
the
I mean,
bottle.
Je-
We just
Jeremy
do whatever
Allen
we want
White-
now.
Jeremy Allen White's won for comedy in The Bear, and yes, there's funny moments, but that is an emotional
drama.
roller coaster of a drama. That is not a comedy.
Yeah,
Just 'cause it's
but
got lighthearted moments.
it just means that they can invite more people. It's like
Yeah.
how can we invite
But in
as many people as possible in as many different categories?
But in that category, any of those 6, none of those films are musicals, are they?
No.
Whereas I think in best female actor is Cynthia Erivo, and best supporting female actress or actor is
Ariana
Ariana
Grande.
Grande.
Ariana,
So
yeah.
it always feels like, I don't know,
Shoehorning them
when
in.
you put comedy
And if you
or
ask either
musical
about it, they'll cry.
But what's the implication there that musicals are closer to comedies? It just feels a bit naff. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
and everything else.
How many
But then
jokes
hang
has
on,
Cynthia Erivo got in Wicked? Not so
Yeah.
many.
What they'd say, they'd say, Cynthia and Ariana, you've both been nominated for a Grammy, and they'd be like,
But Joker 2 wasn't nominated for Best Musical. And that whole movie was a musical.
That's because it was shite.
Yeah, I know. It was a car
You're
crash.
forgetting
well, to
one
be
thing.
fair, Team America wasn't nominated for Best Musical, and that was a great musical.
But
That's
South
actually
Park
fair point.
was.
Fair point.
Was it really?
I might have made
Should've
that
won.
up.
But why
But it was
don't
great.
they just widen why don't they just widen the number of nominees to 10 for best
Yeah.
film? just
because people want to walk away with a bit of metal in their hands.
well then
It's
do a
always
runner-up
the
as well.
comedy nominations that are like comedy's dead because they're like nominating like things that aren't comedy at all.
Well, that's the irony.
Yeah,
one battle after
it's
another,
funny,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
Come out very much, and we should have more comedies, and they don't.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's funny because even when there was a vast swathe of comedies, when comedy was, let's say, early noughties comedy, none of those people were getting nominated for anything anyway.
But
So
nowadays, they're like best comedy actor, Brad Pitt in Seven. It's like Jesus.
But if you've got Will Ferrell and Ben Stiller and Adam Sandler all at the top of their game, and Vince Vaughn and whoever else, and they're not getting nominated for a Golden Globe in the best comedy or musical
But
category, then
in
it's
2025, it's like and Liam Neeson for best comedy in Schindler's List. It's like,
No.
oh Jesus, God, that was like a bad year for comedy. It's
Well, James, why is Liam Neeson or Pamela Anderson not being nominated for best
Yeah.
comedy from Naked Gun?
good point.
Naked
'Cause
Gun.
Naked Gun was
That was
brilliant.
actually a good. I enjoyed that. It wasn't the best, but it was brilliant for what it was.
Nowadays, they're nominating people for like really serious films that have like one joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the comedy
It's like, here's a
film.
film
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Holocaust, but someone did a knock joke, so we're going to nominate them for like.
So, guys, just to go back to like our original thing of your concept of your podcast, I know that you've like seen some recent stuff. Like you say, you've been doing a lot of older films and mixing it with some newer ones, like last minute. Like you've done like F1 and Roofman recently, and I like generally like I've heard some of your comments on Roofman and stuff, and I love that. You enjoyed the film as well, right? Not just the story behind it.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it
You
more
enjoyed
than-
it, yeah. I was
Yeah.
literally just about to say that. Go on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, we both said we could watch a film about someone hiding in a den in a toy store for hours on end. That was Elliot's criticism. More den was needed. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good sort of. We kept saying crime caper, but I thought it was a good blend of, siding with Jeffrey Manchester and sort of empathizing with him. It did enough that a film should do in telling that story, and that you need to be on the journey with the protagonist, antagonist, whatever. But the true story, is just as interesting, and you could argue it's perhaps a bit more serious in real life. But
Yeah.
I think it did a really good job of telling it as a drama.
I sort of felt as though it kept on promising aspects of the plot and then not necessarily quite delivering on it. So, they had... The film opens up with him robbing a McDonald's. And then you don't actually see a lot of that for the rest of the film. He's called the Roof Man, but we don't really see a lot of his crimes that take place where he's dropping in through roofs and robbing stores. And then later on, he ends up in prison, and you sort of feel like maybe we're going to have like half an hour, 45 minutes where he's plotting a prison break, because he then does break out of prison. But that sort of only lasts for about 10 or 15 minutes, and he does it fairly simply, and there's not much into that. Then he's in the Toys R Us, and like I said to Lewis, there's not enough den. I wanted more den shenanigans of him in the Toys R Us, and it didn't quite deliver. But so I sort of felt like there were a lot of different plot elements that I personally would just like to have seen more of. What was there was really good, but I almost was like, I need more to satisfy my appetite. But yeah, I mean, it's a well-made film, and I'm glad that I'm really glad we went to see it and then ended up doing it for the podcast. But yeah, it didn't quite scratch the itch for me as much as I wanted.
He broke out of jail like Sherlock Holmes. Like, you know how like that's how I'm doing it. You're like
Genius,
what?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That was a really
it's very
interesting bit.
impressive.
Yeah, that was a really interesting bit, and I sort of felt like it was going to go into a longer section of like Prison Break, like the TV show, but instead it was over sort of too quickly almost, and it was like too easy for him, and then we got straight to the bit with the Toys R Us. So yeah, I mean, listen, I enjoyed it, but
Yeah. And so, what, Lewis? You had a different opinion. You liked it more than Elliot.
I think I just really enjoyed it. It was, yeah. I think maybe it was just. I don't disagree with anything that Elliot said, but it was enough for me. I was on board from the off.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great for us in the podcast at the minute because we agree on a lot of things. I would say we have very similar tastes, but we I think we spot. Actually, that's what it is. We have different things that annoy us or that grind our gears in films. So at least we're not always spotting the same things. But it's also great because at the minute it seems for any film to be sort of green lit, it either has to be a sequel, a remake, or based on a true story. I mean, it's the amount of films. I went to the cinema. I think it's when I saw Begonia, and I saw 4 trailers in a row, and I was like, true story, true story, true story, true story. It's great. I mean, we could end up just doing the podcast on, upcoming releases based on true stories.
Although, ironically, I don't know if you guys feel the same thing as I do, but I get quite frustrated with the amount of big acting prizes, and certainly nominations as well, but quite often wins that go to people playing real people from history. Do you know what I mean? So you get people in biopics are, in my opinion, much more likely to be nominated for an Academy Award or a Golden Globe
100%.
than people who are doing like original scripts. Do you know what I mean? And I ironically, because we do a podcast that's about films that are based on a true story, I suppose I probably shouldn't have that attitude, but it generally does kind of grind my gears, because I think that you could potentially be in quite a bad film, but playing a person that we all know. The one that comes to mind is Bohemian Rhapsody, and by the way, I like Rami Malek. I really like Rami Malek, and I think he's a great actor, but that film isn't good, and yet he walked away with the biggest prize in acting. Whoa!
The Hollywood trope.
I've got a feeling Lewis disagrees with you as well.
I'm burying my head in my hands.
Just can't stand that film either.
I might be further than Elliot. I think it's embarrassing.
I want to be on your good side, Lewis. Like, I love Roofman. I disagree with Elliot on Roofman. I thought Roofman was perfect. I know what you mean. The Toys R Us stuff, it'd be great to see more of that, but it wasn't necessary. I loved the story of him and Kirsten Dunst. I thought that was the emotional heart of the film, more important than the actual crime. And it was like showing the fact that he's a great guy who just did some bad things, which is more important than the crimes. That's my take, and I thought it was perfect. But Bohemian Rhapsody, shut up. That was amazing. You big fans of Queen?
Oh,
you said it was amazing.
I mean,
yeah. I loved it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a massive Queen fan, but that's irrelevant. I just think, that is we need to basically hold off doing Bohemian Rhapsody for as long as possible, because
not as like a critical, not as a study the film for accuracy and the stuff that you do.
Oh no, not even
enjoyment film. Like, it was a celebration.
I loathed it. Absolutely loathed it.
I've ruined it right at the end. I was
going to go off what Elliot just said, that the Hollywood tropes is normally, if beautiful people have to make themselves look ugly, they normally get nominated as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, if you took an original script and you put somebody in a movie that was like, let's say, a 6.5, 7 out of 10, but they gave an unbelievable performance, they are so much less likely to be nominated for a major acting prize. Even though they've given a fantastic performance, it's because it's an original character. It's in a movie that we don't know the people involved. So I get slightly frustrated with it.
Like if Margot Robbie had to play Maggie Thatcher in a movie, she's going to win it.
Like Charlize Theron in Monster. I mean, she is brilliant.
100%. Yeah.
But it's. I've said this a few times on the podcast. But it's so often in these cases, it should be the wigs, hair, and makeup and prosthetics department that should win the award. Because I'm not saying that these people that have all these prosthetics don't then give a really good performance. And it's not about going, well, it's easier to give that performance if you've got, a sort of mask that you can perform behind. But so often people are going, oh my God, they're so different in it. And you're like, well, they look very different. And they've, got some fake teeth in. And it's about so that's the makeup department. Yes, they're doing a really good depiction, but they're not transforming their face. They're not doing something that no one else could do. And you're absolutely right. When people are made to look ugly, for want of a better word,
I think
cliche Hollywood terms.
Well, I mean, perfect example was I think Colin Farrell and Gary Oldman. They thanked their makeup artists. So when he won in The Darkest Hour,
Penguin in Slow Horses.
Yeah.
Darkest Hour, right?
Darkest Hour. Sorry, yeah, when he plays Churchill. But then. I think like you're saying, but then, to flip that, I think when Heath Ledger was nominated as a posthumous award, his performance, and this is why I got really upset when people were like, oh, well, he's just, he's covered in all that. I was like, he creates the energy of this psychopathic killer. Like you can feel it in his blood, and when he's in the room, he just changes the whole atmosphere. Like he is nothing like he is in A Knight's Tale. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's completely different. I know that's still makeup and stuff, but yeah, that's a phenomenal performance.
Ironically,
I think it's
his
more
own makeup. He actually said to Nolan, "I'm going to do my own makeup because it's more realistic."
Smeared it
on his fingers, but the performance, like you're saying, he's got nothing to hide behind. He just embodies this amazing kind of character that
A new one about going ugly or deforming yourself, like Lily Rose Depp, obviously attractive young woman. She's doing Werewolf, and she's got like cleft palate and like scars on her face, and she's really like dumbed it down, like complete opposite of Nosferatu. She's going the opposite direction, and it looks pretty extreme. She looks like disgusting when you see her.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, I like how there's been this resurgence of these gothic horror. It's very easy to get them wrong, and I think I like going back to Frankenstein. I wonder if we enjoyed Frankenstein because it's such a good. Well, the elements that I enjoyed of Frankenstein, I wonder if I enjoyed them because it's such a good story. Do you know what I mean? Like, because the book's so damn good.
Yes,
and the practicality, the sets, the set design, and the fact that you want to do everything practically, we've got to celebrate that it's not 100%. Full of CGI. It fell flat, and I don't think it had anything to do with the practical sets. It was the story and the overacting from Isaac and the way it was kind of put together. It could have been edited a bit tighter, I think, personally. But
it was very baggy.
It's tough when you've got like an exceptional director like that all you can do is criticize. Like if that was a terrible director or a new director, you go, look at all the stuff he's done. It's incredible. But because he's a master, you criticize maybe a little harshly.
But a new director wouldn't have got 2 hours and 40 minutes to do it. You know what I mean? A new director would have been given an hour and 55. You know, like think about Tim Burton doing Edward Scissorhands. You know, and I know that wasn't like his first film, but like how long is that? An hour and 50 minutes or something like that. You know, that is such a precise story, and they're not dissimilar tales actually.
Actually, that's really interesting. Yeah, contrast. Yeah.
And also stylistically, they're not a million miles away stylistically, but you know, there's one that's really tight and one that's very loose.
And what? Oh, sorry, going Drew.
No. Well, this is just going off on a silly tangent, but like talking of trying to find the truth in things, I'd love it if you guys could find the truth in one battle after another to see if there is a Christmas adventure group.
You've already done some light digging, haven't you, Lou?
So. What we are starting to dabble in for the new year is some sort of bonus subscriber content where there's a whole host of films we have on a list that perhaps don't fit the promise of based on a true story, but there's enough that's interesting to talk about where the idea may have come from, and you can trace it back to a real moment in time, and one battle after another. Well, also these bonus episodes, Elliot came up with some ideas the other day that exploring films that then where the film depicts something, but many years later something similar actually happened, whether directly inspired by the film or just coincidentally.
Black Mirror-esque.
Yeah, so there are films that fall into that category. So you can give yourself a reason to talk about, not any film, but a lot more films in that regard. So there may be a scope for things like One Battle After Another.
One Battle After Another is based on a... Sorry.
It's which part of the story you tether to truth, isn't it? That's the thing. So you might find a film where, especially with like a Paul Thomas Anderson film, where actually the least exciting bit of it is the only bit that can be compared to the like real life or the truth. So then the challenge is going, well, how can we talk about the rest of the film, but not just from an opinion point of view? How can we talk about it and tie it into something real?
Nice.
Which can sometimes be the challenge.
I mean, One Battle After Another is based on a novel, but the novel is set very specifically at a kind of point in history, a kind of like, political
revolution.
Period of turmoil. So, it's interesting to kind of go back and look at the historical context around it and why that could then move into making a novel out of it. Sometimes that's kind of interesting enough to actually go back through and have a look at what that historical context is and how it led to a movie.
Well, that's blown my mind because I didn't even realize it was based on a novel or a book. I literally thought Paul Thomas Anderson kind of thought that up in his mind because of the way the world is right now, and especially in America. But that's incredible.
Well, it's relevant to today, isn't it? It's got so much
massively
truth
relevant.
in, even if it's not literal truth, it feels like it's accurate to today's world at the moment.
Yeah.
I think Paul Thomas Anderson tends to he's gone a few times to he might have gone to the same author actually, but he
Thomas
often
Pynchon.
goes to a novel. That's it. Yeah, he'll often go to a novel
The
for like
Master as well.
a vague idea. I think he already has something in his head, doesn't he? Or he's read about it somewhere. But he can. I mean, he's an absolute master. Not to no pun intended. But his films are kind of like when someone does a PhD and you're like, what are you doing your PhD in? And it's like a subject you've never heard of. It's like so many tranches down a sort of spider diagram of where a subject matter goes. And Paul Thomas Anderson sort of goes, okay, I'm going to do a story about this, but about this aspect of it. It's so original and done with such detail. I think it's so exciting when one of his films comes out because you just know you're in not just like safe hands, but enlightening hands. One battle after another should.
What did you
scoop up
guys
everything,
think
really.
of the hype around the film? Because there was so much about it, and because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, it became one of those film bro films or things that was expected to be amazing no matter what. And I went in so skeptical. I was like, I'm not going to love this. I'm not going to give this 5 stars because I can't, because I'll seem like I'm following the crowd. And I left going 4.5. And a week later, I was like, it's got to be 5. Like, I can't think of a reason why it can't be. I wanted to downgrade it because it was so hyped, but it was actually perfect, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I think it does. That's still doesn't mean that people don't just follow the crowd. I think some people maybe just say it's brilliant, but they maybe hold a more, maybe they're less moved by it, or I don't want to say understand it less because that makes me sound like I'm.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? People maybe see it as a 5-star film.
Yeah,
they might see it as a 5-star film for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think it's a 5-star film for so many different reasons.
The reason why I'm so impressed by that movie, and I've heard a few people say this, is one, because the fact that it can even exist nowadays with everything going on, how they censor so many things that you think, how is that made it on screen? But also the idea that so many aspects of it with the mix of genres shouldn't work, because it feels like Heat at one point with like robbery, the big action, explosions going off, the kind of political kind of entourage and taking over and bringing government down, then corrupt military trying to do what they want to do, but then you've got a kind of an alcoholic drug addict who's like an ex kind of secret agent who can't remember the password, and you're like, this feels like that feels like
There's
a kind
of comedy. That whole section was the comedy.
That whole act was the comedy, which feels like that's the kind of thing that something George Clooney would be in, or like Men Who Stare at Goats. It felt like Men Who Stare at Goats with DiCaprio, and then the other two halves are like these kind of epic.
It's also one of the rare films this year that has been a big hit, but still financially not. Like it was cropped up a little bit, but it wasn't. No one's gone into detail of the fact that it was not a flop, but it didn't gain enough money to be considered as a high profit vehicle this year, but everyone's still holding it in high esteem.
Someone said something. Someone said something really fascinating about that, and this is a bit controversial. What I'm going to mention now. You know that whole thing with DiCaprio and the 25-year-old women. They're 25 or something, or 27.
You wish they were 25. They're more like 19, I think.
Oh, Jesus!
That's the
my point is that. And I kid you not, because that started to stir in the social circuit of how people interact, that it started to dilute the kind of gravitas that DiCaprio has. I genuinely do, and I genuinely mean that it started to add a little, because when we were saying about detach the art from the artist, right? I feel like at that moment in time, because there was so many things about DiCaprio. And then there was even that thing potentially connected to P. Diddy, because he disappeared for a while and loads of people had their eye on him for something. Then
go to one freak off apparently, or the White Party,
exactly. And then this film comes up, so it's not like the kind of appreciation that Titanic got, or The Beach, where everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's DiCaprio!" Woo! It was more like, "Oh,
he's a seasoned actor now, man." Like, but he does need to date a 30-year-old just to give us all a break.
Yeah. But he's losing some of his I don't know.
gravitas."
Just his position within the.
boyish
Obviously,
look.
as far as we're concerned, he's never going to lose his kind of like status as being a Hollywood A-lister who's one of the biggest movie stars in our lifetime. But we've got to accept the fact that now we're kind of we're not the young brigade anymore, and there are going to be a lot of young adults who are coming through who will not hold Leo in the same regard that we do, and yeah, I mean this is one of the first films where that's sort of coming to light, where the returns are not as great as people would think, and it's going to have to make. I think it's going to make a lot of actors think about what the next sort of 10, 20 years of their careers are going to be.
Their personal lives are getting drawn into the film industry.
Yeah.
Whereas before you were just an actor and whatever you did was whatever you did. Whereas now it could impact.
True.
We've taken up a lot of your time this evening, and it's obviously getting late for everyone. Whereabouts are you guys in the? You're both in the UK. Whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm in London.
Whereabouts?
I'm Crystal Palace.
Oh, okay. Me
Yeah.
and Drew used to live in London. I was in North London. He was in. You were southwest, southeast.
Southeast. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Forest Hill, only down the road.
No ways, man. Yeah.
Where are you, Elliot?
I'm in. Now I'm in Faversham in Kent. We moved about a year ago out of London just so that I could have a bigger house, because I record from home in a studio now, so I was finding it really difficult to do that in London. So yeah,
So all you guys are South London. I don't think I'm allowed to have spoken to you guys. I was North. Fuck you guys. I was at Muswell Hill, Crouch End, like. No way, no chance.
Yeah,
Can I just say
I lived in Chalk Farm for a little bit when I moved to London, and for like 2 months, and then that was it. I had to leave.
Big
No, wait,
cinema there.
my drama school was there. I went to Drama Centre London, and the church was where they first had, like, that's where a lot of the great actors like Tom Hardy and people like that went to that church.
Chalk
in
Farm?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, man, before it moved.
That's lush.
But I was just going to say for the listeners that Lewis has a killer whale T-shirt, which I thought was a nice little subtle hint to the name of our podcast.
Yeah, you like that?
Not that we're called
Yeah, I
Killer
completely
Whale,
appreciate
but-
that.
I did notice, but I didn't pick up on it. I noticed it was a killer whale. I forgot about what our podcast was called.
Subtle.
Fudgy the Whale. But yeah, it was nice little. I was like, yeah, I appreciate
That
that.
I'm
deliberate.
glad you noticed. Yeah, of course it was.
Was it?
I do have quite a
Why
lot of
didn't you
Apple
mention-
T-shirts, though.
Why didn't you say something? That's cool.
Lewis, the only thing that's heartbreaking.
It's like an Easter egg, isn't it?
I like it.
The only thing that's heartbreaking though now is that it's now audio. Like they've done something where you can't see the visuals.
No,
unless
we're
we watch
on
it
YouTube, mate. Don't you worry.
YouTube.
Don't you worry.
You watch it on YouTube.
I mean, it's not the
Yeah,
hardest
don't
thing
worry.
to describe, is it?
No.
It's true.
The thing that's heartbreaking is that Elliot made zero fucking effort. Look at him.
But I'm full of rage.
He is full of.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you couple us together, then it works, doesn't it? Anyway, before we go, let me try and blow your mind with the fact that surprised me most from the movies that we've done based on a true story.
Oh,
Because
that
I was
question
thinking
from
about it
30 minutes ago. Yeah, go for it.
I was thinking about it earlier and then I forgot about it. Anyway, so one of the first movies we did was Cool Runnings, because that was where we got the inception of the whole kind of concept of looking at movies based on true stories that are actually, far from the truth. So everybody thinks that the 4 athletes involved in the Jamaican bobsled team were failed sprinters. In fact, the team was started by an American guy who was the cultural attaché to Jamaica at that point. He went to see the annual pushcart derby that took place every single year, and he decided he was going to put together, for some reason, a Jamaican bobsled team. He went to every athlete he could think of in Jamaica and said, "Do you want to be part of this?" They all said no. So instead, he went to Jamaica's combined military and asked if they had any people who could take part in the bobsled team. So the guy who ended up driving the bobsled was a helicopter pilot by the name, I think, of Dudley Stokes. They all went up to Calgary in 1988. And as they were practicing for the 4-man bob, one of the guys in the team fell over and landed on his shoulder and injured himself, so he couldn't take part in the bobsled anymore. But luckily, Dudley Stokes' younger brother, Chris Stokes, was on a university scholarship in Washington State, I think, in America, which is not very far away from Calgary over the border in Canada. So they rang him up and said, listen, we need one more guy to fill in on the 4-man bob at the Winter Olympics. Jump in the car, get up here, and we'll see if we can get you in the sled. He drives up in his car, gets to the Winter Olympics. They manage to fudge, all the kind of paperwork and things like that. And a couple of days later, for the first time, he's sitting in a bobsled at the Winter Olympics, taking part in the Jamaican bobsled team. And that was the true story of Cool Runnings.
So his name's not Sanka.
He's not. No, his name wasn't Sanka. No,
he doesn't have a lucky egg.
Nor Doris. I don't know where this thing about the lucky egg came from, but So unfortunately, there is a crumb of truth in Cool Runnings, but unfortunately, most of it is fairly fabricated, I'm afraid.
It's such a great film, though. I hope that when people listen to that episode, they'll go, "I need to watch that film," because it's. Well, actually, they need to watch the film before they watch that episode. But
all the guys in the Jamaican bobsled team were like, we were really, really happy with the way that it turned out, and it really carried the spirit of our story. But beyond that, I mean, there's no truth in
make
it.
it a silly comedy,
and it's got John Candy in it, so you can't go wrong.
John Candy got it off the ground. John Candy accepted a pay cut so that they could make the movie.
Yeah,
he's a legend.
He did that in Home Alone as well. Like he took pay cuts everywhere. He just wanted to be involved and help people. He was such a nice human being.
His documentary broke my heart, man. I don't know if you guys seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. It's just released.
On Prime.
Amazing.
I need to watch it. Yeah,
it's so good. There's a few upsetting moments, but all in a positive light, if that makes sense. But before we go as well, like, who's Fiona? Is that your PR person or one of your partners or the things? Because how did she find out about us? Because she contacted us about you guys, and we were like, I'd seen a couple of your things as well, and we're like, oh, brilliant, that would be great. We need to get these guys on, definitely. So we get messages every now and again, and we try and fit people in if we can, but we're like, we've got to make this one happen for sure. But how did you hear about us, or was it Fiona that messaged you about it, or?
Well, Fiona was somebody that we got in touch with to just do a little bit of PR to try and get the word of our show out there. And so we were nudging in the direction of film history podcasts that would be interested in what we were trying to say. So we actually made a little list ourselves. She made an enormous list, and I can't remember whether you featured on our list or on hers, but somewhere in the middle we put those lists together. And then luckily for us, you guys said, come on the show. So that's basically the whole story behind that. But we just wanted to try and ingratiate ourselves in the world because we were completely new to this. Like we say, we've only been doing this for literally just over a year. So it's all kind of new to us. So we wanted to kind of pick your brains and then kind of introduce ourselves to you. So it's gone well. I like it.
Oh, good. We've had a great time as well. Like we've not been doing it a huge length of time either, but like it's one of those things. Like we started off just doing it ourselves, and then we got a few friends to come on and join us, and we thought that's a good dynamic. And we started getting people that were writers or directors or producers or social media influencers, people that did film reviews online and stuff. And now we've got a massive amalgamation. Like we don't have anyone booked in till the next appointment we can book in is in April. We're getting guests from all over the place doing different things. Awesome. And it's good because you can conversate about them, and then we can talk about movies, even if they're not to do with the movies. Everyone loves movies, so you can bring on anyone and bring the trajectory around a little bit. And it's interesting, and it's just great fun. But generally, me and Drew were talking earlier, and we love your podcast. We've not listened to all the episodes or anything, but we've listened to quite a few, and we've checked out your social media and stuff, and we're both like, these guys know shit. We need to be on our A game. So
that's what I'm saying. These guys do their homework. Like we just rock up and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean we do our homework, but we act the fool a little bit more than average. But we enjoyed seeing all your clips and stuff. So we're like, there's certain people who are like, we'll put down the lower end of the list. We're like,
thanks, Kev. I appreciate that. Somebody said to us a while ago, they were like, we like your show because you don't just read off Wikipedia. And I thought, God, what a shit show that would be. Literally just opening up the Wikipedia page and just reading that. He was like, because he was like, you use quite a lot of quotes from newspapers and stuff. And we're like, it's I can't just sit there and read the Wikipedia page. I don't think we get away with that.
Man, Wikipedia is not very accurate because it's curated by whoever wants to edit it. So it's a good source, but it's not the be end and end. You've got to like fact check some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to cite your sources, and that's where it gets really interesting, because then you start going down like a wormhole of sources. Like you'll click on one source, and then they'll reference another source, and then you like 8 sources later, you're like, oh my god, this is still continuing, and that's when you find the really, really good stuff. So it's like a reasonable place to start, and I can't fault Wikipedia. It's an amazing resource for like for students and things like that. But you've got to go a little bit further and find the nuggets that no one else has.
Just a shame Ask Jeeves isn't around anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
What film have you got coming up next? What have you got? Because this episode will be out sort of mid-January. What episode do you think you've got up next? I'm just going to let my dog in the room.
Mid-January. Let's take a gamble. Let me pull the schedule up, what we're planning to do. Mid-January,
When we're recording this now, the next episode's going to be The Man Who Invented Christmas, isn't it? The story about Charles Dickens and
Christmas
Carol. But
actually, it's perfect. We've already talked about them both. It'll be Frankenstein and The Favourite. It'll be around that time.
I take it have you both seen The Favourite already?
I haven't.
Okay, so Lewis, you're doing the facts, I guess, and you're holding him till watching it later.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, that is a film and a half. You're going to really enjoy it.
It's really good.
It's incredible.
It's really, really good.
It's a lot of fun.
It's funny. Are you going to?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I won't say the fact, but I'll give you the hint. Are you going to talk about the wet sponge? Lewis is looking so confused.
I'm going to talk about the wet sponge.
Is this something to do? Does this wet sponge get secreted somewhere downstairs?
No, Lewis needs to do
wet
more
sponge get
research.
blended into loads of pieces and then goes back together.
It was between Olivia Colman's legs.
Yes, I thought. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, if anything to do with the making of the film, lends itself to
wet sponges
questions that Elliot has.
Yeah,
Elliot just needs to ask the question now. It's done.
I suppose that's got nothing to do with the true story. I guess it's more true.
This is
how
it.
The film was made.
If it has a relevance to the true story, then yes.
Did they really have wet sponges in 17? What's the history behind sponge?
Flannel.
Yeah.
No, amazing. Well, we'll definitely listen to that episode for sure. But guys, Elliot, Lewis, thank you so much for joining us. That was awesome. That was great fun. We enjoyed that. Sorry, James disappeared halfway through. Sometimes he does that.
I think he sneezed himself to death. I think he exploded from sneeze.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys. Great to meet you.
Goodbye.
Nice one, man.
Well done, fellas.
This has been Rage Whale. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you had a whale of a time.
Thank you all for your continued support, and please do check out our other fun episodes with many great and interesting guests. And just to let you know, we're also on YouTube if you want to also watch us. But do give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok, and we'd love a cheeky 5-star rating on here if you had a moment. And if you do want to support us further, we do have merch. The links are here and on our socials. It's ragewhale.tmill.com. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.